Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of those who have joined us across the globe. And welcome to Thema Talks' first webinar on Partnership for Sustainability. Aivan Wanakam Mamakecha Kondamai as we greet at Thema Collection. Today, we have the opening session of Thema Talks on Partnership for Sustainability, which focuses on highlighting the importance of partnership for achieving sustainable tourism and sharing experiences. Expertise, success stories related to the topic. Thema Talk is an initiative of Thema Collection, which aims to provide platforms for experts and participants to discuss sustainability-related topics and share their knowledge and experiences. In addition, we focus on creating a platform for collaborations and partnerships among different stakeholders to address sustainability challenges and achieve common goals. For an exciting start, we have an icebreaker session where we have an entertaining question for you. We have the world map, and the link for this world map is given in the chat box. You have to click on that link and mark from which part of the world where you're from, so we can get a better idea from where our participants are joining us from today. So please take your time and mark on the screen as to where you're from. You can keep the cursor on the area you're from and then mark. Okay, so I can see from Sri Lanka we have, lovely, and then Australia, UK. Interesting. And the next question is from which age group you are, so that we can get an idea how sustainability makes an impact for people of all age groups. Just keep your cursor and click on the category you fall under. Okay, so we have majority from 18 to 35. It's lovely to see the young generation being very interested in this topic of sustainability. Thank you very much. Now, to move on to this session, I would like to invite Mr. Director of Marketing and Business Development at Thema Collection, Canasans de Salon, and Travel Design by CDC, to give a brief introduction to Thema Collection and the objective of initiating Thema Talks. Over to you, Maxim.
Thank you so much, Jani. I think it's a great moment today to be starting it. I hope I'm audible, Jani. Yeah.
All good, Maxim. Very clear.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, it's a great moment to be starting this. I think it's something a little bit different. And I think as Jani touched, we really wanted to create a bit of a platform to talk about a few things that are important to us at Thema Collection. So Thema Collection, as I'm sure all of you know, is a collection of 11 properties around Sri Lanka. where our idea is to create under the tagline different themes, authentic experiences, where each property we try to create a unique experience within itself. From Malu Malu, which is modeled around a fishing village, the first hotel that opened after the war in the East Coast, to our latest property, Wild Glamping Galloya, to Tea and Experience Factory, and even our Irui products, which are Irui the retreats. I think the diversity and the diversity of our surroundings is what inspires us to create unique properties, which try to do their best to bring out the best of Sri Lanka from that region. And that is pretty much what inspires us as Thema, and that's what Thema Collection is. A collection of 11 properties that try to bring out the best experience of Sri Lanka within themselves. So I think, for us, it's very important, and it has been from the onset, to have a company that cares and that, tries to help out as much as possible for its community and its environment around the properties. And I think, especially thanks to our team, Ashan and many other members, naturalists, we've been able to, create some really exciting programs. For example, we launched the Berry Initiative, where we where we help researchers come out to parts around Sri Lanka where our hotels are based and conduct very important biodiversity research. Through Reconstruire Vive, we have provided free education to over 6,000 students at our preschools and our computer centers, which we run free of charge for the community. To, I think, our latest achievement, where we were able to win the platinum in green building for our property in Galloya. So I think, we've been trying to do quite a bit. Sometimes we don't necessarily speak about it, but, our idea is to, wherever we can, try and have a positive impact. And to do so, I think we've been working out quite a few things. So I think it brings me to this platform today that we are starting, which I believe will be a very fruitful one. Not only just to talk about some of the efforts we do in-house, but also to bring in people that inspire us, people that help us achieve our goals in terms of sustainability or even within the hotel operations, and bring a platform to all these important issues in terms of sustainability, and collaborate as much as possible. Because I think as a private sector entity, it's always good to collaborate as much as possible with the government and other entities, so that we can help the environment and improve the sustainability of Sri Lanka tourism. So this platform will be one to speak about sustainability, but also I think to touch on the guest experiences, share some interesting stories, and just for our audience, our guests, to get to know about Thema Collection, what we stand for, and what we hope to achieve in the future. So I think that's I don't want to go on for too long. So I think that's almost it for me. I would also thank, I think, Janit and his team that'll be participating and help participating today. So Janit actually was one of the great pillars that actually helped set up a lot of the sustainability initiatives within Thema, and it's great to see him lecturing now and inspiring the younger generations to think sustainably. So I think it's a great session, and I'm very excited for it. So over to you, Jen.
Thank you very much, Maxim, for initiating this whole Thema talk idea, and for bringing in so much of enthusiasm to the webinar today. Thank you once again. Before we move to the main speaker of the day, we would like to request all of our participants to fill in the form, which is been shared in the chat box, so that we can thereafter keep a track of our attendees today, and keep in touch with them for future webinars as well. Moving on to the main speaker of tonight, Janit Davala, lecturer of the Department of Marketing and Tourism at the Faculty of Business of NSPM Green University. Janit, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Jani. I hope I'm audible and visible as well.
Yes, all good, Janet.
Right. Thank you, sir, so much for the introduction, and thank you, Maxim, Ashan, and everyone at Thema Collection for this wonderful opportunity. I'm humbled and honored to be here today as the inaugural speaker of Thema Talks, which I believe is a much needed initiative that the tourism industry should have in terms of educating and raising awareness with regards to sustainability related issues and practices that everyone should be aware of. So I have a short session prepared for today. So I'm going to be talking about sustainability and partnerships. So I will quickly share my screen now. I do hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
All right, perfect. So when Ashan first invited me to speak at Thema Talks, while being very grateful, we had a little bit of a talk on what exactly should we be doing for the first session. And I want, as a person, as an ex-employee of Thema Collection and someone who has seen how Thema has been doing things, and now as a lecturer in the academic sphere, I just wanted to see how we can bring out the best of both worlds. So we thought, why not talk about something which is less discussed when it comes to sustainability, and why not talk about how partnerships can play a pivotal role when it comes to actually achieving sustainability, not only from a company's perspective, but overall from a global and holistic perspective as well. But given the fact that we are in the first Thema Talks, a series of talks focusing on sustainability, I thought it would be best that we start our sessions by setting some precedents. I'm pretty much sure I'm in the company of a very educated, very profound crowd who already has a very good idea about what sustainability is. But then again, to set some basic context, I thought it would be essential to go through the concept of sustainability and sustainable tourism very simply before we move on to today's main topic. So I think all of you would have seen or heard these definitions on what sustainability means and sustainable tourism means in fairly very straightforward and simple terms. For the longest standing time period, sustainability has been referred to as a concept or a thing which people need to do where they can meet their needs at present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In very, very simple terms, what sustainability focuses on is how we as a generation, or we as people living on this planet Earth today, can live our lives while also thinking about the future generation and how they might also be able to live the lives that they want to live in the same quality of while experiencing the same quality of life that we are experiencing. So that has been the basis of what sustainability means. And of course, the concept of sustainable tourism, which is very important to us, given that we are the practitioners of tourism. Sustainability tourism, of course, the concept derives from sustainability in itself, but it also once again focuses on how overall you as either a destination, you as a company, or you as an individual can curate a tourism experience while fully taking into account the economic, social, and environmental impact, while also taking care of your visitors' needs. So while this looks extremely simplistic from a definitive perspective, there is an underlying issue that we need to understand. The predominant issue is if people are given the opportunity, right? If people are given the opportunity of prioritizing on one of these pillars, either economy, society, or environment, without any sort of implications or without any sort of control, people would inherently prioritize on their economic objectives. I think that is how we as humans, or we as businesses, have been inherently programmed. You can ask this question from yourself. You can think about how your company operates. No matter what we claim to be, for us, our fundamental objective is to achieve our economic objectives. We always predominantly measure our success based on our profitability, our salaries, our wages, and all these things. So inherently, we have for the longest standing time period measured success on economic objectives. So for a generation which measures or which controls their lives based on economic objectives, when you are told to strike a balance in terms of your commitments to economy, society, and environment, that is when achieving sustainability becomes a little challenging. However, given that this is the definition that we are working with, we have had substantial efforts to operationalize sustainability overall in the past few decades, both from an academic and also from an industry perspective as well. So I'm pretty sure if I show this slide, the diagram on your left side, which is the 3 circles representing people, planet, profit, is a very common diagram that you would have seen at least once in your lives. We refer to this as the triple bottom line, or we refer to this as the foundational pillar of sustainability. As per the triple bottom line, in very, very simple terms, what the triple bottom line refers to is if you as an individual, organization, a destination, or a country as a whole is able to achieve an intersection or a common commitment across people, planet, and profit, all these 3 pillars, you are achieving sustainability. So that is what sustainability is from a very, very simplistic and straightforward point of view. If you as an organization, an individual, or even a destination or a country or even continent, or at the end of the day, the entire world as a whole is able to achieve a common consensus about your commitment towards profit, planet, and people, then we say you are living in a sustainable world. However, our topic today is going beyond the 3 Ps. If you look at the diagram on your right, which is expansion of the 3 Ps concept, which is the 5 Ps concept that we see today, we say in addition to profit, planet, and people, there are 2 other must-have variables that we need to take into consideration if we are to really, truly achieve sustainability. So in 2015, I'm quite sure all of you would have heard of something called United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In the year of 2015, the United Nations created a global footprint of 17 universal goals that the world was going to achieve in the next 15 years to deem the world as a sustainable place. So during this conceptualization, the United Nations and all these decision-making bodies realized that if we are to really achieve sustainability, it is not sufficient enough for us to just think about planet, people, and prosperity or profit. We really need to be thinking about partnership and peace as well. So in my session today, what I'm going to be focusing on is how exactly is partnerships interlinked with sustainability? And as a tourism industry, what can we really do to leverage partnerships to achieve sustainability? And I'm pretty much sure in the following session, in a future session, we will have other great speakers go in depth into some of these other pillars as well. So partnerships, today's topic. Out of the 17 sustainable development goals that were developed by the United Nations, one of the goals was entirely allocated for sustainable partnerships or partnerships for the goals. So we need to understand as to why exactly partnerships are so important in achieving sustainability. If for a moment, if we completely forget sustainability for a short while, let's take something very simplistic as an example. Let's say you are trying to lift a table which weighs 20 kilos, right? You as an individual, you want to lift a weight or a table which weighs 20 kilos. So when you're trying to lift this table on your own, the burden that you place on yourself is quite high. Now, let's say for an example, you ask a couple of your friends to come and give you a helping hand in lifting this table. What happened was the initial 20 kilos that you were trying to lift on your own now becomes distributed among your 2 friends, and the burden that you have in terms of the weight reduces. So that is what we need to understand when it comes to partnerships overall as well. When you take sustainability as a concept, everyone in this world at the moment. There are, I believe, 193 United Nations member countries in this world who is trying to strive for sustainability. All of these countries are in different positions, different capabilities, and different backgrounds. But everyone at the end of the day is trying to achieve sustainability. But what you need to understand is not everyone is having the same capability of achieving sustainable development goals in the same manner. Say, for an example, there might be a country who is doing exceptionally well in terms of reducing poverty in their country, but they might face a lot of issues in terms of climate change. At the same time, there might be certain countries like Sri Lanka who is doing exceptionally well in quality of education, but of course, they might be struggling in terms of making improvements or economic advancements. So you need to understand that when it comes to partnerships is a way or a mean or a method which countries, companies, organizations, or even individuals can utilize to distribute the burden of achieving sustainability on one's own. It is an action that you can take to reduce the burden on yourself while also helping and facilitating other people to achieve sustainability as well. So this is what partnerships means, and this is why partnerships are very important for being sustainable in the short, medium, and long run. Now, the topic at hand, the industry at hand, tourism. I've made a statement, I've made a very bold statement saying partnerships are at the core of sustainable tourism. Let's forget sustainability for a moment, but let's think about tourism as a whole. Tourism as an industry in itself is an industry which is so much dependent on partnerships. Let's take a simple example. Right? Let's assume you are talking about a client. Let's say you're talking about a British client who wants to come to Sri Lanka. So for this British client to come to Sri Lanka, he or she will have to deal with so many stakeholders to arrange a specific visit. He or she may have to deal with an airline. They might have to deal with a tour operator or a travel agency or a DMC. They might have to deal with different accommodation providers, different excursion providers, different experience providers, different chauffeurs, different guides, different shops. There are so many people that a tourist will encounter and engage with in one singular trip. What we need to understand is, regardless of it being a service which is being offered by a multiplicity of different people, at the end of the day, for that particular British tourist, the experience is one experience. He or she is going to have an impression about his or her visit to Sri Lanka. So overall, what they are going to tell at the end of a trip is their visit to Sri Lanka was either good, was either bad. So sometimes it might be one person, it could be an accommodation provider who performs below par, it could be a chauffeur who performs below par. But at the end of the day, what you need to understand is holistically, right? What you will have is an overall opinion about the destination. So even though we know it, even though whether this happens knowingly or unknowingly, so many stakeholders need to partner with each other to provide one proper tourism experience. So if that is the core of our offering, then you need to understand as to how important partnerships are for achieving sustainable tourism. So if we are to achieve sustainability, where we think about economy, society, economy, all these three things together, how do we really leverage partnerships to achieve this? That is the golden question. So what can we do? What do we do as an industry, and what should we be focusing on? There are so many areas, there are so many types of partnerships, there are so many variables that you can take into account. But for the sake of argument, given the time constraints, I've selected one simple case. And of course, there are simple points that I want to first take note of before I go into the case. If we are to achieve sustainable tourism, the first thing that we need to understand is through partnerships, there are certain things that we will be able to achieve. First and foremost, the biggest benefit of effective partnerships lies in resource expertise and knowledge sharing. What you need to understand is tourism stakeholders are a culmination or a combination of different people with expertise in so many different areas. Just think for a moment about the companies that you're working for, the clients that you're dealing with. Even within Sri Lanka, to deliver a certain experience, there are so many different people's expertise that needs to come into play. There might be someone who knows exceptionally well about, let's say, whale watching in Mirissa. There might be a guide that is exceptionally well aware about Yala National Park and the surrounding and how to do a proper game drive. There might be people who are exceptionally aware about the cultural triangle and the history of Sri Lanka, right? So all these people come together to form an experience. But if we are to also make the industry sustainable, what you need to understand is all these different people's expertise and knowledge needs to be given due recognition as well. So if we, for a moment, for an example, if we as planners, if we think for a moment, okay, when it comes to this particular destination, this is the best way that we can do tourism. But if the local community in that particular area disagrees, then you need to have a little bit of thinking. We are talking about people who have lived in that particular area for a long-standing period of time. So then when they are saying that this might not be a good tourism initiative, that is something that you might need to think about. And then, of course, we can think about collaborative planning and management as well. Now, for an example, for a very long period of time, this is not only visible and evident in Sri Lanka, but if you think about a lot of countries, you need to understand that tourism is always measured based on a very quantified manner and based on very economic terms. Even think about the tourism industry that we are striving for at the moment. We are saying that we want to be very sustainable in our operations, but if we look at our annual goals every year, our goals are measured from quantified objectives. At the end of a given year, we as a country want to achieve a set number of tourists and we want to achieve a set number of dollars from the tourism industry. While it is a very important consideration, at the moment, the voices of certain sustainability practitioners who think tourism can be looked in from a different angle might be forgotten, might be unheard. So we need to think, is there any way, any planning mechanism that we can implement where the voices of people who are genuinely considerate about sustainability issues, environmental issues, societal issues, can we make sure that their voices are heard? And the next thing, of course, sustainability practice promotion. Of course, with the exemption of maybe a couple of organizations in Sri Lanka, a lot of exceptionally good companies who are doing a lot of sustainability related initiatives take a backstage when it comes to actually promoting the practices that they are showcasing. As for an example, I'm pretty much sure there's a lot of people who are aware about the brand Thema collection, but if you really think about it, I'm pretty much sure that a lot of those people are quite unaware about what Thema is doing in terms of sustainability practices. Say, for an example, there are Thema has its own paper recycling factory in Alia. But then again, how many customers who go to Alia might even go ahead and pay a visit to that paper recycling factory? So we need to understand, of course, this is a commitment that needs to come from an industry perspective and customers perspective as well. So these responsible customers, how can we tap into them and how can we promote our sustainability practices? Because it needs to be a two-way stream. We need to tap into them and we need to give those information to them if we are to be exceptionally good in what we do as well. And then finally, monitoring and evaluation. One other biggest burden that Sri Lankan tourism industry has at the moment in terms of achieving sustainability overall is how are we exactly monitoring and evaluating our sustainable progress. There are very few organizations in Sri Lanka who would have, not only in the tourism sphere, but overall, who would have aligned their commitments toward the sustainable development goals. So Sri Lanka has a dedicated Sustainable Development Council who is doing a voluntary national review every, I think, 2 years or 4 years time to measure Sri Lanka's current progression or current commitment towards sustainable development goals. But if you really look at what is happening in the tourism industry, do we really see a lot of companies aligning themselves or really measuring what they are doing and how it is impacting on the overall achievement of sustainability? So when we have certain sustainability related measurements now at a global level, we have United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Is there anything that we can do either from an organizational perspective or even from an individual perspective to see whether we can align with those things, partner with those things, and show our contribution to those efforts? So those are a few things that you need to think about when it comes to partnering for sustainable tourism. Now, in today's context, as it was mentioned in the introduction, I was a former employee of Thema Collection, a place which is very dear to my heart. I'm a full-time lecturer now. So as a result of being a part of Thema Collection's previous efforts and now being an academic, I've been in a very unique position where I've been able to take several amazing projects, certain amazing initiatives from Thema Collection and inculcate them to our overall educational experience and offering as well. So what I wanted to spend the next few minutes, actually my colleagues, my students would do a better job in explaining this more than me. I want to spend some time on showcasing to you what Thema has been doing in terms of partnerships for education, which is a very, very important pillar when it comes to partnering for sustainability. The most predominantly important thing that you need to understand is educational institutions are the cornerstone of achieving sustainability in the long run. Educational institutes, universities, higher educational organizations, they produce the future of this country. So if you are able to contribute to these organizations, help them create graduates who are aware about sustainability considerations at the time of their graduation by partnering with them, by supporting their initiatives, you by default become an organization who is doing exceptionally well in terms of partnerships for sustainability. So I'm very proud and privileged to say in the past few months, I believe in the past couple of years, since partnering with Thema Collection through a strategic MOU, Maxim and the entire team has been going above and beyond to facilitate certain sustainability related activities where we have done a number of collaborative projects to uplift the overall learning education of the students with the support of Thema Collection. So I wanted to take a few minutes. My students, a couple of my students who have been a part of the sustainability initiatives, wanted to share a few of their viewpoints with regards to what they experienced with Thema and how they have helped, how these experiences have helped shape themselves and also get an understanding about sustainability from a practical perspective as well. So without any further ado, now I invite Tharindi, who is one of my students, to speak about her experience with regards to sustainability related field visit that she encountered as a result of Thema Collection. So Tharindi, over to you.
Hi, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Tarindi, you're clear.
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Tarindi Veerasurya and I'll be a third year undergraduate at NSB Green University in a couple of weeks' time. So first and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank Thema Talks for giving us this opportunity to sort of come up here alongside our lecturer, Mr. Janit, and sort of speak about our experiences and share some of our experiences with partnering with Thema. So I'll say that one of my biggest experiences that I've had with Thema was when me and my batch, the 8 of us, had to do a destination marketing campaign as our assignment. It was actually for Janit's assignment, and so part of our as part of our research collection, data collection process, we went down to Veligama ourselves for a 2-3 night visit, and we conducted some interviews with a couple of properties and a couple of people to stake out the environment. So as I said, this was an overnight stay. So we actually stayed at the Lost and Found hostel, which is part of the Thema collection. And we also had the opportunity to conduct an interview with Mr. Ashok Alvis, the manager of Ayuri Veligama, to sort of get an idea about the market of Veligama and the current trends in the wellness sector of Sri Lanka. So I would say that when we first entered the Ayuri property, we were sort of immediately overcome with this sort of very zen energy, and there was no hustle and bustle, and everyone was very calm and quiet. Even the employees were very relaxed and laid back, and there was no no hurry whatsoever. It was immediately a very different environment, I would say, from the other properties that we have gone to conduct some interviews. So afterwards, even though we only came for an 30-minute interview with the manager, we were very warmly welcomed and almost treated as guests, and we were sort of, an attendant showed us around the property of all the room types, and we were even given tour of the medical faculty of the property, and met with an Ayurveda doctor who sort of explained to us about all the panchakarma and the treatments that they do. And then finally we met the man himself, Mr. Ashok Alvis, who was just the cherry on top for our visit. I have to say that he was very generous with his time and knowledge, and he answered all our questions, was very detailed in his answers, and was also I think the only interviewee in our agenda that was well prepared beforehand for this interview. So we had about almost an 2-hour session with him over a cup of tiramisu, and he was very generous with his time and knowledge. So we got a very comprehensive idea about the aspects of Ayurveda and Veligama, and about the Ayurveda from him. So all in all, my experience with the Thema collection has been immensely beneficial and knowledgeable to me. And even our stay at the Lost and Found hostel, I have to say, was one of a kind experience, because we were also, I believe, the first guests there since its inception. So I think now everyone in my batch, they sort of have this sort of predisposed idea that we have to stay at a hostel next time we go on trip as well. So I believe we've had such an amazing experience, and I want to thank Thema once again for this opportunity, and thank you for your hospitality. And Nuhan, over to you.
Thank you, Tarindi. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, Nuhan.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nuhan Pallavela, and I'm a to-be third-year undergraduate at NSBM Green University, and I'm the president of the International Center for Tourism and Hospitality at NSBM Green University. So what I'm here to talk about is about the paper recycling process that is happening at Alia in Sigiriya, which is one of the Thema properties. So my team, we wanted to do a collaboration with the paper recycling that is going on, the paper recycling project with ICTH. So what we wanted to do was visit them by, so basically what they're doing is recycling paper, used paper. So since we are an educational institute, we have lots of waste papers and used papers. So what we planned on doing was, with the initiative of our master in charge, Janit sir, we wanted to go to Alia and then talk with them and, try to make a collaboration about, like, we want to give them papers, our wastage papers, and then, they'll be converting it, they'll be recycling it to these different types of products that they are making and selling at Alia Resort. So they're making wonderful ornaments and different types of booklets and stuff from waste papers. So this project is one of the most amazing projects I've ever seen that is being done by a hotel. Basically, when I went there, the staff there was very friendly as well. And what we got to know from them is also that many tourists visiting there, many foreigners, they're also amazed by seeing what they have in store for them. They have entire process which completes everything. And but as what they told me, all those machines were made in Sri Lanka as well. So basically, when we consider all these facts, it's amazing how they are doing something like this. And but as NSBM Green University is something which is very into the sustainable side, we wanted to collaborate with Thema in order to do something sustainable, as we are following a tourism degree as well. So basically, when I at our stay there, me and my teammates, when we went there, we saw many students around the area coming to visit this project and see how it's happening. So that's one of the major plus points that Thema is doing, like bringing in school students and then making them aware of how important sustainability is, and how important that waste recycling is as well. So it was a wonderful experience for all of us. It's something really new to us, and we would like to see this project being promoted more, and we would like to carry on this collaboration with Thema by taking waste papers from NSBM Green University and then converting them into different products, and then taking it back to the university and giving good knowledge to the students at the university as well, by showing them the stuff that the projects that's happening at Thema and how paper recycling is being done. So basically, by doing so, we'll be able to give a good knowledge to the students as well about sustainability, which is our main focus these days. And yeah, so it was a nice experience, and we are looking forward to keep on doing this initiative with Thema. Yeah, so thank you, Senili. Over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Seneli Gunaratna and I'm the past cluster head of ICTH Sustainability, and I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, all good, very clear.
So for one of my final year modules, we actually got to do a case study on Thema collection, and this was actually one of the modules taught by Mr. Janet. So it was like a very different assessment compared to all the assessments that we've done before. It was really interesting, and we gained a lot of knowledge throughout the whole process. And also we were very, very lucky to have Maxine come and do a session for us on Thema collection, which included their rebranding, their sustainability initiatives, and how they incorporate sustainability overall to their operations. And it was a very, very helpful session for us because we were at the moment we were all doing the assessment. And similarly with our degree, we have this mandatory sort of batch trip that we do, which is a field visit. So we got the chance to go to Alia Resort and Spa as well as Ayurveda Sigiriya. And when we went there, like, how do I say it? So when you see all these properties on the internet, you get wowed and you really want to go there. But once you actually go there, it's beyond that. The places are amazing, and the vibe is just, you can't really explain it because you have to really go and see it to actually see how unique these properties are. Like, for example, when we went to Alia, as soon as you enter, you have this amazing view of Sigiri and Pidurangala. Like, you get wowed at first there itself. And there was also the paper recycling factory we visited, and you can see from the PowerPoint that some of our students actually engaged here in making paper, recycled paper elephants, and that was a very, very fun activity to do. And there were so you don't really see much of these sustainability initiatives when you go there, but those are actually the backhand processes, and there are certain things that you actually get to see. So for example, something I actually saw was these wooden signboards which you can keep for the wet flow signs. That was really cool. And before we went to Ayurved Sigiriya, we actually had a session on wellness tourism by Dr. Surandi, and that was really informative. And once we went to Ayurved Sigiriya, you can actually access that property from Alia itself, and the whole vibe just changed. So at Alia, it was more of an exciting vibe, and then when you go to Ayurved, it was more like a relaxing Zen and very serene vibe. And something I have to say is that both these properties involve community in a very, very big way, and that is really commendable. And to sum it up, both properties were really excellent, and myself and my batch included, we had a really great time. Also, as mentioned by my peers Tarindi and Nuhan, we've had unique and amazing experiences at Thema. And these inclusive experiences are something that we don't usually get to experience. So it was a good thing to experience these things as opposed to just only studying about certain sustainability mechanisms in class. So it was very nice to kind of go through these in a very practical manner. And I'm certain that all these experiences will motivate individuals to be sustainable in everyday situations as well as traveling. And also Thema Collection, thank you so much for these unique and innovative experiences that we were able to experience, and we really hope to see all of it all over again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for sharing your views and opinions. So I think it made a lot of sense for those words to come from the perspective of students who genuinely experience them, as opposed to me or Maxim or someone from Thema sharing them. So as you may have realized, the people that spoke a while ago are the future of this country, are the future of the tourism industry of Sri Lanka. So what Thema has been able to do in terms of promoting sustainability and showcasing it to the future generation will go a long way. So I'm pretty sure the learnings that these students have encompassed will take them one step above the others, where they will join the tourism industry with an idea or with an impression about why sustainability is important and how to be sustainable in your overall operations as well. So I think that should be one key message that you can look into, especially if you are thinking from an educational aspect. I think one thing that I noticed is when we did the Mentimeter quiz as well, there was a lot of people who is from the age 18 to 35 who is participating in this session, which is very promising to see. But at the same time, something which was a little disheartening was, if I don't know if you guys noticed, from 0 to 18 there was I think little to no participation. So you need to understand, even in the Sri Lankan education system at the moment, regardless of how tourism industry is perceived to be one of the most important industries, especially from an economic perspective, up until you reach your higher education, tourism is not given prominence. So we need to think about incorporating sustainability and sustainable tourism concepts at a higher education level. But I genuinely think the considerations can be spread towards a more grassroots level as well. So this is a recommendation for Thema Collection. Please push forward. Please do everything that you're doing for us for much more better, much more bigger communities as well. And I'm going to end my session with a very small quote. I think you would have heard of this as well. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. in a tourism industry where there is so much to offer, in a tourism industry which we are so dependent on, I do genuinely believe all of us can do massive and amazing things. So I invite everyone to partner with Thema, to partner with all the other stakeholders in the local tourism industry to make Sri Lanka a wonderful paradise that we can continue to promote, continue to sell, not only for this generation, but for generations to come. Thank you very much.
I would say that's a great way to wrap up, Janet. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Yes, indeed. I would like to thank all of those incredible speakers, Janet, Shanali, Tarindi, and Nuha, for sharing their knowledge and great experience working with Thema Collection on various collaborative activities. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Q&A session. You can let us know any questions or any of your thoughts in the Q&A session. So please write your questions, thoughts in the chat box, and we will be happy to answer them for you. In the meantime, the registration link is also shared. So if you could fill in your details, that'll be great.
I think we have a question. So Ashan, maybe do you want to take it, or maybe Janet?
Yeah. Ashan, may I take the question? Or?
Yes, Janet, you can go.
I've got a small
Yes.
point as well, actually. I mean,
Okay. Do you want me to start, Maxim, or do you want to?
no, I mean, I think just from our experience and like for certain projects we've done in the past, I think it's transparency is very important in partnerships. I think we've had a few occasions where, that sometimes, there are unfortunately actors that are looking to do such projects, sometimes for different types of reasons or different monetary gains. So I think it's important to be very transparent and I think very clear on the terms. And I think, most partnerships do work, but I think it's also sometimes good to be hesitant. And yeah, I think sometimes, it's also the commitment is a bit hard sometimes for companies to have sustain, or like entities to sustain over a while. So I think every partnership does have its course as well. So sometimes, with issues on the ground with COVID and different things, I think we also had partnerships didn't dissolve, but I think just slowed down for a bit. Janet, anything to add?
Yeah, just to add a little bit of a couple of points to the things that Maxim said. So I think, as Maxim rightly highlighted, one of the biggest issues is the differences in goals and priorities that people have, even when they start doing the common project, even when they want to do a common objective or a common initiative. So that could be a massive problem. And then I think one of the other biggest underlying issues is, of course, the different levels of commitment that is going to go towards doing a sustainability related project. So I think if you really look at, for an example, if you look at Thema's last 4 to 5 years of expansion and the properties that they've been opening up, you can see sustainability has never been an afterthought. The concept has been thought while the property was being created in itself. So when it is like that, doing sustainable related initiatives is quite easy, because for a very long time period, you're starting your business with the intention of making it sustainable. Look at, if you look at TN Experience Factory, if you look at Wild Lampi Knuckles or even Galloy, you can see even in the construction, or even especially Ivory Sigiriya, right? The whole ethos of being sustainable is strongly engraved at the beginning of the conceptualization process in itself. So if you are at that particular level, you can do a lot of things. But I think if you look at Sri Lanka, one of the biggest issues that people face is in terms of sustainability, it comes as an afterthought. You do certain things, you try to do certain things, and then maybe to greenwash or just to claim that you are being sustainable, you're trying to do something. So I think that is why I want to reiterate on the importance of education once again. In the next generation that is entering the tourism workforce, if they can enter the workforce with a very predisposed knowledge of what being sustainable means, I think that will really help people out a lot as well. And then, of course, Sri Lanka overall as a country has resource related limitations as well. Now, for an example, in comparison to some other foreign countries, maybe going renewable is a fairly bit of a challenge here in Sri Lanka when it comes to implementing certain renewable projects. So yes, those challenges persist. So we have to once again think of partnerships, think of working with the government, working with international donors on how we can facilitate and support and do some of these activities as well. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Janit and Maxim. We have another question. So it's what are some emerging trends or opportunities in the field of partnership for sustainability? Are there any new approaches or strategies that organizations should be aware of?
Okay, so to give my humble opinion on this, I think you can't really say that there are new what we call trends in partnerships towards sustainability per se, but one thing that you can understand or realize is the whole concept of sustainability tourism is changing at the moment. Now, for an example, for the past few years, when it comes to my teaching, I've focused on sustainable tourism as a core concept. But in the next few modules that I will be undertaking, where I'm going to be talking about sustainable tourism, I'm actually going to talk about a concept called regenerative tourism as well. Even the concept of sustainable tourism is now fading out, especially from an academic perspective. People are now looking at a concept called regenerative tourism, where the actual implication or the actual plan is to travel to a destination and make the destination better than what it is before leaving that particular place. So that in itself is a very good way of how you can look at tourism. You are not only, so when it comes to sustainability, what you essentially claim is you do something, you experience something, and you leave it out for the future generation to experience in the same way. But now what we are trying to do is you experience something and you make it better so that the future generation who is visiting the same place could experience it much better. So that is a very interesting concept that I think a lot of businesses will look into in the future. I do believe now, for an example, there are little things that even Thema collection is doing at the moment when it comes to, I think, especially Iris Sigiri. If you go to Iris Sigiri, you can plant a tree when you finish your treatment, when you check out. I think Maxim, in Malu there was initiatives where clients could plant corals. I think there are certain initiatives that you're taking into consideration in Gallo and Knuckles, where clients get to play a very immersive role in their experience and not just do something and then head back. So I do believe that will be one of the biggest trends that is going to be defining tourism in the future. And I'm excited to see what Thema and all the other tourism stakeholders are willing to do in that particular light going forward as well.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think, I think it's become very, very important. I mean, it's not per se a partnership, but, it could classify as a partnership, but you see a lot of brands, even such as Booking.com, that are leveraging the sustainability initiatives of hotels. I think now if you go on Booking.com, you have a sustainability level out of 3 on each property. So I think it shows, and I think the research also shows, and like what we see from our hotels as well as our travel agencies, that more people care about sustainability. They want to know that they're going to a place where they have either, where they have which has a lower impact, or even places that align within their sustainable approach to life. Because, for example, a lot of people don't want to be in places where they have to consume plastic bottles or certain things like that. So yeah, we see that. I think the importance, and the customers are becoming more and more aware, and more they're becoming more and more demanding in terms of that they have sustainable and as well as experiences, as Janit said, that are immersive. So I think we see that a lot of partnerships are done in terms of promotion, and a lot of these companies are looking to partner up with companies that have a more sustainable approach. I think it's really beneficial. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Maxim and Janit, for clearing all the questions. And since we are running out of time, I believe that will be all for the Q&A session. Also, I would like to give a big thank you to Ashan, the Assistant Manager of Sustainability at Thema Collection, the person behind the screen to make this event a success today. Thank you, Ashan. And that brings us to the webinar session of Thema Talks. For more information on our sustainability journey, you can visit www.themacollection.com. And also follow us on our social media pages by scanning the QR code, where we post all of our sustainability activities and upcoming projects. And our participants can be up to date as to how Thema Collection is contributing to the sustainability aspect. If you do have any further questions or would like to collaborate with us, please do drop us an email on mrg.sustainability@themacollection. We will get in touch with you. Looking forward to seeing you all in our next webinar. Remember to stay connected with us for future updates and events. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.